1 minute. Let me just get this done. Okay, so I feel privileged, as always, and honored to have Rebbetzin Rochel Silber, who is a brilliant teacher. I think she's been teaching Torah for, I don't even know how long. And I know she's been a teacher at Neve for 20-something years, is it?
Yeah.
Rebbetzin? Yeah. And she dedicates her life to really
Okay. So you're done. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all. I see a bunch of friends on. I have to say send a special kiss to my friend Miriam, who's on. I love you very much, Miriam. And I see that Esther's on. You're all my friends. I just gave a quick glance, and I just wanted to say hi to everybody personally, and whoever I don't say hi to, I'm saying hi to. Bigadol. Yeah, I have a little bit of a tight schedule today, so I'm sorry that I'm pushing you off schedule a little bit, but you do what you need to do. I want to tell you, we're in very intense times right now. So I want to tell you a story. You're not going to hear the story from anybody else. You know that everybody's getting all the same Zooms and the same memes and we're all sharing the videos of the beautiful, our precious ones. But here's something that you never heard before, unless you heard this morning's shir, and if that's the case, I apologize. Years and years ago, when I lived in America, so I had a car. Baruch Hashem, here I do not need a car. I have all of my taxi drivers and bus drivers, and Baruch Hashem, my feet. But in America, I had a car. Everybody needs a car in America. And so, and I was driving to wherever, and there was in the street that I was driving in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York, there was a stop sign, but it was an illegal stop sign. What do I mean? It was an old stop sign. It was covered over by a tree. It led to a street. The street that it led off of, which was originally the reason they put the stop sign, was now no longer a street. It was somebody's backyard. So there was no cross section that stop sign was preventing anyone from going to. You didn't need to look anywhere because there were no streets interacting. And there was an old stop sign there. Anyway, everybody knew that stop sign. If you lived in the neighborhood, you knew it was there. And you also knew to slow down, only not really for any reason, but people would slow down, but no one needed to stop full stop because there was no reason for it because there were no cars coming on the other direction. So one day I was going and I did what I always do, slow down, then went. And there was a policeman on a motorcycle who needed to fill up his, quota of tickets, of summonses. So he zoomed out and he gave me a ticket. So I said to him, wait a minute, you're sitting there waiting for people over here. Isn't there something more constructive for you to do? In those days, I was when you live in Eretz, you become a little bit more humble. You have to, otherwise you can't survive here. But there I was in America. I was like a real chutzpahdik, big mouth. I said to him, what are you waiting here for people? Isn't there, can't you go and, protect crime someplace? What are you waiting here? You see that this is a defunct stop sign. It's not functional. It doesn't need to be there. It's covered over half by a tree. Anyway, he didn't like my chutzpah. He gave me a big fat chunk ticket. This was about 30 years ago, and it was $50. In those days, $50 was a lot of money. So I said, I'm going to fight this ticket. And I indeed, wherever, you had to call a certain number to get a certain appointment with the courthouse. Okay, so I got my appointment and I went into that court. It was the first time I was ever in such a place like that. I went into the courthouse and there was a lot of different rooms. You had to go first to this room and tell them what you're there for, and then to this room to tell you, to show them the ticket, and then you had to go into the big room with all the criminals, quote unquote, where everybody was sitting waiting to be judged. Okay, I did all those things. And then they assigned me a lawyer. So this lawyer takes me into this little cubicle and he says, I gave him the ticket and he said, how do you want to plead? And I said, totally not guilty. And I started to tell him the whole story. There's a stop sign. It doesn't mean anything. It shouldn't be there. The cop was waiting there. You should have been doing something more constructive. And the stop sign was anyway hidden by a tree and it's supposed to be taken down. I told him the whole story. So he takes a ticket and he says, okay, the summons, moving violation, $50. But if you want, I can change it to an expired meter. That's only $10. So I didn't understand really. I said, wait a minute. There was no meter. I thought maybe you don't understand. There was no meter. And I started telling him again the whole story. Stop sign, cop, slow down. And he said, no, this is called a plea bargain. I never heard of such a thing. This goes back a long time ago. It's a plea bargain. What's a plea bargain? He said, you can either you're going to pay money, he said to me. Lady, you're going to pay money. You want to pay $50? You want to pay $10? If you pay $50, if you continue to proceed along this thing and you want to plead innocent, they're going to call the policeman. They're going to be your word against his word. His word's always going to be listened. You don't have a camera. You don't have proof. You'll pay $50. Or do you want to pay $10? I said, I'm not interested in supporting the government here. I'll pay $10. He said, good. He takes a big red marker, crosses out my moving violation of the stop sign, and he checks expired meter, hands the ticket back to me, says, wait in the courtroom, in the big room where all the criminals are waiting to be judged. I wait there. Then they call my number because they don't call your name. They call me. And, oh, hi, hello, whoever it is. You have to mute yourself. And I go and stand before the judge. Now, the judge was wearing a big robe and he was on this big high platform and they wanted to inspire fear. So when he walked in, they said, just like on TV, all rise. Anyway, I hand the judge a ticket. He looks at me over his glasses and he said to me, aha, an expired meter. Do you plead guilty or innocent? And I didn't know what to say. Oh yeah, they made me say, I hereby swear to tell the truth. I said, I don't swear, I'll affirm, I'll tell the truth. He said, did you have it and do you plead guilty? So I looked at him. He sees the ticket. He sees that they crossed that one thing. He knows that whole story. I said, guilty to an expired meter. He clamps the thing down, $10, pay the bailiff. I went out, paid the bailiff, and I left. Why am I telling you that story? First of all, it's good to lighten up a little bit right now. But why am I telling you that? I had no idea how the court system works. Right now, we need to know what the court system, how the court system in Shamayim works. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of how we're taught the Beis Din Shel Mala, the court system in heaven, how it works on two levels. Sometimes you get a summons. They summon you to court. There are many different reasons why that happens. Usually they give you a warning. But whatever it is, the bottom line is, if you're summoned to court, the only way that you can receive a summons to court, to the Beis Din Shel Mala, and I don't mean you have to die, chas v'shalom. No. I'm talking about at this particular moment. They're always judging us in Shamayim. So how do you get judged in Shamayim? So the Ramchal teaches that in order for you to get a summons, you have to actually give life and give energy to the prosecuting attorney, who is called the other side, the Sanachmem, we call it in initials, the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the Malach HaMaves, all of those different words. In order for any angel to be activated, they have to be activated by the power of a Jew. It says in this week's parsha, it says these words in this week's parsha. It says that Hashem said to Avram Avinu, here I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to bless you and make your name great. You're going to be a bracha. You, Avram Avinu, and the Jewish people are going to be a bracha. I'm going to bless those who bless you, and those who curse you, I'll curse, says Hashem to Avram Avinu. And all the nations of the world will be blessed through you. All the nations of the world will be blessed through you. So the Ramchal says like this. In order to be summoned into Shamayim, into the court of heaven, you have to speak the language of the court prosecutor. The court prosecutor's language is negativity. When we say negative words, Now, nowadays, we're no longer saying Lashon Hara. Baruch Hashem, we don't say Lashon Hara anymore. We've been learning Shmiras HaLashon for so many decades already, 30 years already. 30 years ago, we already began the Shmiras HaLashon campaign. And here in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, we used to have in the 3 weeks, in the 9 days, we used to have the Shmiras HaLashon learning, the Shiurim. I think we're good with that. Shmiras HaLashon, we're careful. We don't lie. We don't curse. We don't say foul language. We don't minuval our mouth. We don't dirty our mouths. Our mouths are pretty clean. What we need to work on now is recognizing the power of our speech. Only when you recognize the power of your speech will you speak. If we realize the power of our Tehillim, you just were saying such beautiful Tehillims and psukim from the Rav and the Tzaddik and all of the tefillas that you're saying, you know, the Tzaddikim tell us, the Baal Shem HaKadosh told us that if we would really, 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 really believe in the power of our words, we would not stop davening all day long. We would quickly make, Cheerios and milk for breakfast and Cheerios and milk for supper and quickly something maybe substantial more for lunch. We would just sit all day long and daven and talk to Hashem if we recognize the power of our speech. One of the reasons that we don't is because Hashem wants to make the nisayon of davening even stronger for us. But when we criticize or summon someone else in our life to a judgment, then they summon us in Shemayim to a judgment. Rabbi Nachman says that they always give us a heads up and they let us judge. We walking in the street, we see a mother give her kid a patch, and how our brain judges that lady, that's how they judge us in Shemayim. We don't realize that the mother gave the kid a patch because the kid was choking and she gave a patch so the kid should spit out whatever was in the mouth or whatever. We're always being given tests on judging others, and how we judge others is how Hashem and Shemayim judges us. So when we call to judgment by saying any negative words, Hashem, those negative words empower the angel of negative words, and it just backfires on us. This morning when I was davening, so I had a whole, why am I telling you this? Because I have to, really, I'm talking to myself, as all teachers usually do. Well, maybe not all, but this morning I had all these suggestions to Hashem about how He can save us. All these suggestions. I said, Hashem, in a second you can just do what you did in the time of Chizkiyahu HaMelech. Chizkiyahu HaMelech, David HaMelech's descendant, had a big war, and all the 180,000 or 180, there was a lot of soldiers surrounding the walls of Yerushalayim HaKodesh. And the night before the war, he just took a good nap. He's had a good night's sleep, however many hours he slept. Why? Because he said to Hashem, this is your war. We're your people. This is your war. You're going to do it. I have no way to get rid of all of these enemies. So I'm going to go to sleep and you're going to take care of it, Hashem. And Hashem did. In their sleep, they all just, their souls left the body. So I was telling Hashem this morning, you could do it that way. Or of the captives, you could let their neshama shine from their face. It'll terrify the enemies, and they'll all run away. I had all of these plans of suggestions of how Hashem could save us and could bring the Geula. And then I was listening a little bit to Rav Adis. I had its Kotel. You can go to Kotel, live Kotel, the Kotel camera. Now you can only do the Wilson's Arch because they're not showing the Kotel now, probably because of the war. But you can hear them davening. So Rav Adis was davening, and he was screaming, Rachem Aleinu, Rachem Aleinu. Oh, you know how he davens a million times the same thing, Rachem Aleinu, Rachem Aleinu. And I felt the message of, don't tell God how to win this war. And don't even tell God about how angry we are and how traitorous the cousins here are And don't say negative. Just focus on the positive. Focus on Hashem, have mercy on us. Love us. Show us revealed love. Show us unconcealed miracles, revealed miracles. In other words, don't reframe the words that nothing negative comes out of your mouth. Reframe it to positive. Now, so many of you, because I'm seeing who's on now, so many of you who I know personally are experts in that. Reframe, and just, it doesn't come out of your mouth anything negative. Somebody just sent me a video of a very big Ohev Yisrael, someone who loved every human being on the planet. But he was screaming, this land is ours. It's ours. He just kept screaming again and again. Am Yisrael Chai, this is our home. It's our home. You don't change homes. So the idea is to try to reframe everything in a positive way. And we can do that. We really can do that. You just need a little bit of paying attention to what you're saying. It says in the Gemara in Yevamis, it says like this: Ein tova ba la'olam ela b'shvil Yisrael. Nothing good comes to the world unless it's because of the Jewish people. And by the way, Chazal tell us that if the Goyim knew what it would be to their advantage to have a rebuilt Beis Hamikdash and to have us learning and davening and freed up from all of the gashmis of this world, of the worries of this world, if the Goyim, if the nations of the world, if they knew the advantage to them, to every one of them, for us to be doing our job, they would immediately take over the world in terms of the materialistic. They would fire all of the Jewish doctors and they would replace them. They would fire all of the Jewish computer people and they would replace them. And they would say to us, get to yeshiva, get to shul, go to daven, and they would rebuild the Beis Hamikdash for us if they knew. Because the Torah says, good comes to this world, goodness and blessings come to this world for the sake of the Jewish people. As the Chumash says, Hashem says, we are the source of bracha in this world. So what does it mean, bracha? Bracha means to pull down blessings. That's what it means, to pull down blessings. That's why the birkayim are your knees, because when you bend your knees, you pull yourself down. So all good comes to the world only for the Jewish people. But the Me'or Einayim says like this. He gives another take on it. It's a very famous take. He says, Ma sheYisrael osim shvil lehorid hashefa machmat tfilatam. The shvil, another word for, when it says the word bishvil in Hebrew, bishvil means for the sake of. But the word shvil by itself, it means a path, a pathway, not a big road, not a big highway, a pathway. So it says here, so the Me'or Einayim is saying that goodness comes to the world bishvil, in the pathway of Yisrael that the Jewish people are creating. What pathway are we creating? The pathway of our mouth, the pathway of our tefillah, of our prayers, of our mouth, of the words that we say. The words that we say are creating infinite number of pathways all over, zigzagging all over the universe, pulling down blessing for our families, for ourselves, and for the whole world. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that Hashem instilled, imprinted in Hebrew, in the Hebrew language, and then it comes out on the mouths of the Jewish people. It brings, that's what wakes up the energy, that's the mechanism, the spiritual, physical, metaphysical mechanism that pulls down salvation to this world. That's why you can repeat, that's why Rav Adis repeats a million times. Ever see him daven? I mean, it's hard to watch him daven sometimes because it's so heartbreaking, but he'll say the same thing 100 times. And many tzaddikim, they'll repeat the same thing, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu. So those words pull down and strengthen and widen the pathway so that blessing could come into this world. And then the Ma'ori Naim says a pasuk on the phrase "Su'u marami einechem," lift up your eyes to the heavens. Right when you just read the psukim of the Yanuka Shalita, so he says, say them by looking up at the sky. Don't just say them. Look up at the sky. Su'u marom einechem. Su'u, lift up marom to the heavens. Einechem, your eyes. Uvarchu es Hashem, and bless Hashem. So su'u marom einechem, it means physically. The Rashi Tevos is Shema, as in Shema Israel. Su'u, Shin, Marom, Mem, Einechem, Ayin, is Shema Israel. And Su'u is, the Shin of Su'u is Shacharis. Marom is Mem, is Mincha. And Einechem is your eyes, is Arvit. So the idea is that the power of prayer, you can hear this again and again and again, but this is the mechanism of the courts of Jewish law. The courts of I was in that traffic court has a corrupt mechanism of will officially allow you to lie. We will stamp that the lie that we know is true. They know it's a lie. And the person knows it's a lie, but they will stamp on the truth for the convenience of the court. In Shemayim, the court proceedings do not go like that. If you are summoned to court, it's because chas v'shalom, perhaps, maybe, we summon someone else to a judgment, and it's mida connected mida. That's how it works. Also, if we ever say something that, again, we don't say lashon hara, we're good, we're careful, we only say positive. But if chas v'shalom in a previous gilgul, a person said lashon hara, then what did you just do? What did that person just do? They just empowered the prosecuting attorney in Shemayim, which is the Satan, which is an angel, to say lashon hara on them, on the person. When a person says, so you have to think a million times before you speak. Now the Chavetz Chaim Zatzal, he was so fluent, he was so careful with he knew the halachas. He wrote the sefer, so he was able to speak fluently. And when we're learning Torah, when we're giving over recipes or whatever we're comfortable with, we can speak fluently. But stam in conversation, we're always analyzing in the back of our minds, is what I'm saying is the energy of what I'm saying going to be released back to me? Will I be happy with that? Will I be satisfied with that energy that's released back to me based on the words that I'm about to say and that I'm saying? Now, there's another court that exists in Shemayim. We usually talk about this court Tisha B'Av time because it's written in Eicha, but it's the court of Hashem alone. Hashem makes, in Shemayim, in that domain, we only use these kinds of words to make us understand it in the brains in the limited brain that a human being has. But the system of Shemayim is very similar to the system of this world. And with this course in this world, there's course in that world. Of course, again, the course in this world are corrupt. The course in the next world are completely emes. But there's a court in Shemayim that's called Hanhagat Hayichud. That's the name of that court. Rochel teaches this. And he says, in the court of regular Bezdin, the Bezdin Shalmala, there's judges, there's rabbis, they're sitting there trying to defend you. Rabbi Nachman, our Rabbi Nachman from Breslov says, we're not going to, I hope, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're not going to have to die. We're going to live. Mashiach is going to come this second. We're going to live. No more death. Be'ezrat Hashem. Amen. I'm sure you're all saying amen. But Rabbi Nachman said in olden times, he said, if a person ended up dying in olden times, he said, right away, call me. I'll come to your court. I'm going to come to your judgment. And I'll get you off, and I'll make sure that you don't have to go back down for another Gilgul. I'll take care of you. If you said Tikkun HaKlali, I'll be able to fix you. In Tikkun HaKlali by his Sion, giving money to Tzedakah, Ba'avuro, on his. But there's another, that's the court with Rabbanim sit there, and all these stories about different Rabbanim, and even Rabbanim in this generation, sitting while they're alive, they can still sit in the court. Lamala, they have stories about Rabbi Ovadia Yosef Zatzal, that people would have dreams and they would go into that court, and he was alive and well, but he was also in that court. How that works, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's another court. And that court, nobody comes to that court. No prosecuting attorneys, no rabbis, no judgments, no judges, no anything, just Hashem and the person. And Hashem and the person. And Hashem figures out in that court, Hashem doesn't have to balance judgment and justice. Hashem can do complete and perfect rachamim, mercy and kindness. And how do you get into that court? You get into that court when we ourselves constantly have just kindness to each other, just rachamim to each other, just mercy to each other, just compassion, just understanding, just vitur, giving in. Then we can get into that higher court. And that higher court is only us and Hashem. In other words, in the lower court, let's say Hashem is always the judge. In the lower court, it's like if that traffic court judge was my father, let's just say. I would come in, do all the paperwork, stand before him, he'd give me a wink and he'd get me off the hook by, I don't know, calling the court to recess, or somehow showing that the ticket, that the summons that the cop gave originally was misprinted, was wrong, the date was, he would get me off the hook. But it would be with a whole procedure, with lawyers and witnesses. But if the if the judge is my father and it's just me and him in the court, and he doesn't have to tell anybody anything, he'll just say to me, listen, Rochel, you did the wrong thing. We have to fix it. We have to right that wrong. We'll do it. This is how we're going to do it. And we'll work out a plan, just me and him. So that's called the court of Hanhagas HaYichud, the Hanhaga of Yichud, of the unification of the soul of the Jewish people with Hashem. And again, to get into that court, we have to practice not just tefillah, but we have to practice rachamim, mercy and compassion. We have to practice emunah, pure emunah, just simple emunah. And that's what Hashem is giving us now to do, simple emunah, where nothing makes sense. The Yanuka said, emunah begins where the seichel ends. He quoted somebody, I forgot who he quoted. But when you can't see a way out, when there's no way out, and you still say, Hashem, you could figure it out, you can do it, you can make a way out. That's how we've been living for thousands of years. There was never a way out. There was never a solution. There was never a way that we were going to survive. And here we are. In this week's parsha is the story of Avram Avinu. First of all, in this week's parsha is when he's called the Baal Emunah, right? In this week's parsha, Hashem says on him that you're the Baal Emunah, and I'm proud of you, right? When he was told he's going to have a child and he's going to have a whole nation, he believed, even though he knew it couldn't happen derech hateva, can't happen naturally. But Avram Avinu said, okay, Hashem, you said it, it's going to happen. In this week's parsha is another amazing emunah story, and it's so relevant to us because it's the story of the 4 kings and the 5 kings. Remember that Lot, who was Avram Avinu's nephew, he ran off to live in Sodom, and he's very comfortable there. And then all of a sudden he's caught up in this battle, and there's 4 kings and there's 5 kings, and there's a whole world war. The whole Middle East is in war. And Lot, who was a very wealthy man, a very prestigious and very honored man, was captured by the 4 kings. And Avram Avinu doesn't want to get involved in any of this, but they tell him that Lot, his nephew, is captured. So he takes 318 men. Some say that's just his Eliezer, just his servant Eliezer. Some say even 318 men against 4 major armies that just conquered the whole world. And Avram Avinu just went. He went, and Hashem made miracles for him. So, and he captured the captive, and he restored the captive unharmed. Lot and his whole family were captives. And Avram Avinu, with his emunah, made his shtadlus and restored the captives and all the property and everything. So it's a parsha. It's in the parsha. We know that the energy of the parsha is the energy of the week. And we're waiting. We know Hashem's going to make everything good. In the end, Hashem's going to make everything good. We know that those who were killed are in the highest level of Gan Eden. And all of them did tshuva a second before they died. And they bypassed all of the court system. They bypassed all of the judgments. They just went straight up to the highest places. And we now need Hashem to fulfill the parsha of the captives. Hashem has to figure out a way to get those captives free and to relieve them and to heal them. And we trust him. We just trust that whatever Hashem does, whatever he's doing, he's doing the best. He's doing the best. We trust him. It doesn't make sense. The Jewish trust does not make sense. The whole world is against us. I don't listen to news anymore, but people send me clips, and I know whose clips to open and whose messages to read already. And really, the whole world is against us. Everybody, there's nobody except for the righteous Gentiles. The righteous Gentiles are with us. But the rest of the world is not in a great place vis-a-vis the Jewish people. It doesn't look easy for us. And Hashem is going to do again what he always does. And that is, he's going to save us in the merit of the Nashim Tzidkaniot, in the merit of the righteous women, in the merit of our davening, in the merit of our simple emunah, in the merit of our tznius, in the merit of all the things that we do for Shabbos and all the guests that we have, in the merit of even nothing. Hashem can go into that place of yichud. That place of yichud, you don't need any reasons. It's called the matnat chinam. You don't need any reasons. Hashem doesn't need any reasons other than his inherent and existential love and unity with the soul of the Jewish people, with each one of us. That's a given. It's an existential fact that we have a neshama. The neshama is a chelek elokam imam. Hashem doesn't need any reasons other than his existence, which is the only thing that exists, is his existence. In that place of yichud, Hashem needs no reasons to redeem us, and he will. And so we're going to be dancing and celebrating. Thank you, Nomi Rebbetzin Greenberg, for allowing me to speak to such a precious, precious audience. And thank you, each one of you, for coming and listening.
Thank you, Rochel.
And
bring your tambourines.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Can't see who's talking to me because I'm on the phone and my phone doesn't do all these things. So thank you,
Sarah
to
Feldman.
Hi, Sarah. Oh, wow. See, I'm telling you, I have a lot of friends here on this. I would now really, if it was just schmoozing time, I would get on and say hi, everybody. But it's not schmoozing time, learning something.
Rebbetzin, can I ask a question? It was really phenomenal. The message was so important for us right now. The thing that I'm struggling with is that there's so much being said.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So my question really is with, especially here in the United States, where people are saying horrible things about us, and we need to call them out on it. You know, we can't. Being silent is works against us here. And, you know, we have kids on college campuses and they're all being manipulated by what's being said. And it's so important for us to have a voice right now. You know, for instance, there was an NYU student that was saying horrible things. The law students got together and wrote letters to the firm that was accepting her as a job, you know, for a job next summer, and they rescinded her offer. It's important for us to stand up right now for ourselves. Yet I hear what you're saying, that what the negativity does to us personally. Does that apply to non-Jews? Because it's still negativity, or even there's Jewish people that are saying horrible things about us.
Yeah. So I don't know how things work in America because I live here in Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem. And so I don't know how to answer that question in terms of it. The Gemara says, Esav sonei Yaakov. You're never going to be able to explain to a person who's a hater. You can't, it'll be very hard to change them over because they're brainwashed. So I don't know really how to answer the question. But however we approach another person, it should be in the way that will be the most effective, the most effective, and in the positive way. In other words, instead of, I don't know how you could respond negatively. We're not going to show those pictures, even though they just showed them. But even that didn't make a dent in their whatever. I don't know how to answer that question. I just know that the Lubavitch Rebbe said, don't focus on the darkness, just focus on bringing more light into the world. When you say the truth, when you just say over and over again what's true, you can point out people's, you can point out, like if they, I don't know, if they got her fired from her job, or I don't know, if whatever you said, but you can point out evil. You can. You have to be very aware of evil. You have to talk to your kids about it. College campuses are poison now. In my humble, I could say two things that's going to make me very unpopular with all of you right now. But now, so I'm not sure if I should say it. We just had a nice share, and you'll like me. And now if I'll say two things that you won't like. So I'll give you a hint. College campuses are poison. And keep, open your eyes to see what's going on in your neighborhoods, and be smart. Just be smart about all your decisions, and how upgrade your emunah. Read the beginning of the parsha very carefully to see what Hashem told Moshe, and to see what Hashem told Avraham Avinu. Read that. Read what he said to him. You know what the parsha is, right? You know what I'm saying.
You're telling us to leave.
I
don't.
Israel,
which, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. When I look back on how my circumstances when I came to Eretz Yisrael, I do not know how it happened. I do not know how it happened. Every time when a person comes, when people come and families come, it's always l'mala miderech hatzeva. We don't have like parallel worlds where we could say like, well, what's life like with my staying here, and what's life like when I'm going there? We can't compare them. Nobody can say, if you would have done this, that would have happened. We have no idea. But open your eyes. Everybody has to hear that when it's the right time. Everybody has to hear that when it's the right time for them. Hashem lets you hear that when it's the right time for you. And what can I say? So I don't know how America works. I don't know how you're going to combat all of those words. There are people in the government I hear who are saying, who are all mixed up about reality. That's how I'll say it. They're confused about reality. The head of the UN is confused about reality. They don't know what it's like to live here. They don't know what it's like, how it is here. But Hashem will open up everybody's eyes in the right time. Just stay safe, and, what can I say? I say to Hashem every second, Hodel Hashem ki tov ki l'olam chasdo, for the things that we do have. And I don't think that we're going to repeat history. I think Hashem's going to just as I said, He's going to just do it. He'll make us, he'll redeem us, and it's going to be good. Think positive, it'll be positive. See, we're all very Hasidish here, a little bit Chabad, a little bit Breslau. Think positive, as Baba Shebi said that.
Rochel, I see one more question. I see Chaya wants to ask a question. I see her hand's been up for a while, if that's okay with you.
How do you see that? How do you see a hand up?
Because I have to watch this in case people come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was just beautiful. It's so warming to hear beautiful words of truth. Rebbetzin Silber, thank you. I wanted to say two things. First of all, I wanted to mention that I once opened up at Savas Haravash, Baal Shem Tov, and I saw there it says that Yishmael gets fed with immorality. And to me, it was such a clear picture. Like we have to take that seriously. We want to know what is it, what we could do, what is it. And I'm just saying that anything that any of us can upgrade in that area, I think is would be amazing. Just like what we see in general, and what we allow ourselves to see, what we allow, in any other way that in all encompassing thing about immorality. So that I wanted to mention that. And also, I was wondering. I always wonder when I read Tehillim, David HaMelech is saying things that are, he says very powerful things. Sometimes it talks to my heart. Wow, I couldn't say it better, and they're not all positive. So I'm wondering about that.
Okay, so I was mekatzer because I tried to make it shorter, but you can say the negative things that David HaMelech says. You can say the negative things that the Siddur says, that the Tehillim says, that the Navi says. Those words you can say because they were said in Ruach HaKodesh, and Hashem made a tag on them saying, this will not affect your negativity. Tachlis finas neisim. David HaMelech says, when I read those words the first time, I don't know how many decades ago, when I was awake, in other words, when I was already paying attention, Tachlis finas neisim. I hate them with the passion of hatred. I was like, whoa, you don't talk like that. You're usually Mizmor LaDavid, Mizmor LaSoda, right? Like, what is this? David HaMelech attached power to the words that he said in his feeling. He says this, the Gemara says this, that none of the negativity that he's complaining about is ever going to affect us in a negative way. So you could say those words. It's only when we're having our own personal daily, that's when we have to pay attention. And what's the other thing that you said?
No, I just wanted to talk about the
So Yishmael, so listen, it says about Yishmael, I've lost you 1 second. I don't know where you went.
No, you're here, you're good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yishmael has a few different mitzvahs. They have the mitzvah of bris milah, that's what you're talking about. They have two mitzvahs, bris milah and davening, because the name is Yishmael. Chazal tell us the reason that, I think the Yanuka said this, the reason that why did Avram Avinu give him such a good name, Yishmael? Like, that's a good name. Esav is a better name. Like, that's a bad name. Edom, those are all, but Yishmael is such a good name. Why did Avram Avinu? Because Avram Avinu was teaching us how to overcome Yishmael. Yishmael means God will listen. God will listen to your prayers. How do you overcome Yishmael? With prayer. Yishmael, against Yishmael is our prayers. And number 2 is the bris. He still does the mitzvah of the bris milah, and we have to be more careful with the bris. Shmiras HaBris means all areas of tznius, modesty, what you see, what you read, movies. We don't do any of that stuff anymore, and we're really, really good. But we can always do better in modesty, even modesty of thinking, like how we think about ourselves. Even humility is a level of modesty. So any of that stuff combats Yishmael. So you're all in the army. You're all in the army. We're all in the army. We're all fighting. Each one of us is fighting the little battle that Hashem made with the people that in our little world that we're in, and by our having rachamim and mercy and compassion and really opening our hearts when it's hard to open, that's huge. I have to run. I'm so sorry. I have to run.
Thank you.
It's so good to see the people I'm seeing who put faces on. I know me.
Thank you.
Okay, now go back to davening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rochel. It was so beautiful. Don't go yet. We're just gonna do the